All right, hey, and welcome back, everyone, to this second demo here on the Synthux Academy Spotykach. This is a demo 2, recording it here in late July. So if you come across this video and a lot of things have changed, it's because the firmware has changed. So one of the things I'm going to be doing today is trying out something a little different in terms of powering it. So again, it has the USB-C cable. So what I want to try to do for the purposes of some sonic stuff I'll be doing later this summer is use a power bank. I think a lot of people doing DAW stuff or doing, stuff in the field, particularly doing like field recordings or more Foley-based stuff, are probably used to self-powering devices like this through non-traditional means, so using a power bank. Probably best to check. I know there's some new rules the TSA, at least in the States, has been coming up with in terms of power banks can no longer go and check luggage. I don't know if that's the case worldwide, but probably have to bring these on. And then another thing would be to check what's the maximum allowance. So I want to try this because I want to make sure. I know this is going to work with the power bank, but I'm not sure sometimes with the power bank itself how reliable it is. I've had a few of these where sometimes the device won't power off of it, or it just stops halfway through. So I'm going to try to do it the whole time, and you see it powered up fine. This particular one has the percentage rating, which is actually really good, so you can kind of keep track of exactly how much you have left, and that's one of the reasons I want to test this out before I take it in the field. Likely, in addition, because obviously this device doesn't record like a full track, I'm going to take a field recorder, probably a different Zoom I have. I have a couple of these Zoom recorders, and I'm kind of currently working also on the contact microphone that came with this, trying to figure out how to use it, looking at some other microphones to bring along as well, kind of for the field setting. So we're just going to try to see if the power bank is going to work. So far, it seems perfect. I also want to thank everybody who's been commenting and offering their commentary, namely through the Discord channel. If you haven't seen the Discord channel for Synthux Academy, it's really handy because I'm learning so much about this instrument. I'll show you a couple of those things I learned. I also want to thank Rui and Vlad, who are the big developers behind this amazing device. They've been absolutely killing it in terms of responding to folks' questions on the Discord, on the other site, which is for troubleshooting. I'm forgetting the name of that one, and for feature suggestions, and also on YouTube. And I appreciate they actually posted my first YouTube demo on the Discord site, and I appreciate that as well. But again, the community, I think, for an instrument like this is so important. It's something we often forget. I first realized this actually when I got the 4MS Meta module, which, by the way, would be a great pairing with this particular looper, and I'm sure I'll be using it in the future with this device. But when 4MS came out with the Meta module, one of the things I loved about it was they had an integrated website that has all the commentary, firmware updates, and also patch suggestions, questions, all that kind of stuff. So I just love how certain devices or types of devices can stimulate community. It's one of the important things that I've always talked about with kind of this world that many of us live in this case, semi-modular. What do you call this? It's a looper, but it also has effects, right? So I think for me, this is a very experimental device, but I'll be curious to see others out there if they're using it in maybe less experimental ways. So a lot of just, kudos to all the folks who have been involved. Some other things to update. So I've gotten some very good information from what either Vlad or Rui posted on the YouTube video that I did, just to update you on some stuff, and also some stuff that I learned on the Discord. And if you are currently looking at the Discord channel for the Spotykach Looper, it has hundreds of comments, which is great. And so I actually backtracked and discovered some things. And one cool thing I'm going to show you today, actually. So let's turn on the my Leaf Audio soundbox. Yeah, you can see it in camera here. And I believe I'm going to have this kind of cranked on the high gain setting. It also has gain adjustment here. You might hear a little bit just with, sometimes doing electroacoustic, you might hear a little bit of like noise or whatever, which, for me is perfectly fine. Once I put it in, you're going to hear, you're probably hearing right now, only the left channel. By the way, a convention I'm trying to set up now just for my own sanity is like if you're doing a 2-track recorder, I'm going to try to do input A and B to match A and B here. I didn't do that last time when I was recording one of these videos and I got really confused. That way, left channel is always A, right channel is always B. Because for me, as I mentioned in that first video, I need stereo in any looper, and it's an absolute must. I can't imagine using a mono looper. I've had a few of them, and they're not, in my opinion, great just for what I'm doing. So again, you're hearing this in the left channel, nothing in the right. Now let's plug in this same one into the other input. Actually, okay, I actually have that patch strong, so yeah, there you go. I had the out patched into the in, so let's try that again. So I'm going to plug in to the A channel. Now, the thing you're hearing right now actually is it's kind of a mid signal. Do you hear how it's when I do this, it's playing straight down the center. So I want it to be in the left. So this is something I learned on Discord. So thank you whoever posted that. If you plug into the right channel, then you're only getting left. The explanation from the developers is in the next firmware update, the position channel, which will do, I believe, split mono, stereo, which is the mode I'm going to use all the time, and then drift, which I don't know what drift is going to be like. Is it going to be like the drifting that happens in the Soma Cosmos? Will it be different? So we'll have to see. But so for now, what I'm simply doing is putting in a dummy cable, and that way, when I record, I can get the hard left and the hard right. So that's one update. So it's a really cool and easy fix right now before we have that new firmware update. So I was happy just to read that on Discord. Super cool, actually. So let me show you the first experiment here. And one of the things I want to do is use a lot of my electroacoustic instruments. This is not something I've made, but something I use pretty commonly. And this is a simple kitchen timer. It's actually not battery operated, it's spring operated. And I've used this in a couple pieces before to create some really simple rhythms and actually have some themes that I'm going to start introducing. So the first theme kind of for this round is the theme of simplicity. And by this, I mean the idea that we maybe use an input signal or a sound that's not as complex as that mess file that I used last time. And I'll talk about how that file differs as far as source material for a looper, specifically a Spotykach, versus something as simple as this. So let's start this off. We're just gonna start the timer, and I'm attaching it to the surface here. Again, the Leaf Audio device has really strong pickups and not a ton of noise. So I'm just going to try to listen and see if I like that particular sound. By the way, as I did last time, we've got no effects. I don't want to do any effects because you throw anything into a shimmer reverb and it sounds like anything thrown into a shimmer reverb. So we're going to start with channel A. By the way, another great clarification, when you are in real mode, I showed just last time, you arm doing Alt and play, and the minute it gets a signal, it triggers. And it just records that without any reference to clock. What was explained to me recently on YouTube, thank you again for the guys at Synthux Academy for explaining this, when you put something into slice mode, which is going to have that blue color or hue, then when you arm it, it starts with the first trigger signal it gets. So we'll try that probably in a subsequent demo. Let's go back to real mode. So this sounds, again, very good and simple. I don't have to sample a lot of this, but let's go ahead and take that. Okay. So now you're hearing that kind of wiggling back and forth, syncopation, whatever you want to call that. And that's because, obviously, we still have wet signal coming in. So if I turn it to the left, let's see, is that that's the pure wet signal. Turn it all the way to the right. Yeah, and that's the, sorry, it's the reverse. So this is the, I shouldn't say wet and dry, but this is the sampled sound in the buffer. All the way to the right on both of these channels, all the way to the left is going to be the signal coming in. And you're also hearing, this actually picks up my voice as well. So I'm actually going to turn that all the way down so it's not going to pick up my voice at all. I'm going to be curious. I don't think I hear that in the signal. I don't hear my voice actually going through the buffer here in the Spotykach. So let's do this now. Let's go to our, get this right this time. I'm going to put this into this channel, and I don't think I have to do the dummy thing, do I, in this case? I don't think I do, so, because I'm hearing it clearly in the right ear. So we're going to sample that same kitchen timer into the B channel, which is the right ear on my mixer or Zoom R4. Okay, again, getting syncopation, polyrhythm, whatever you call it, so we can turn this all the way to the buffer signal only. And actually, I'm just going to take out the input. Did I do that in reverse? Oh yeah, okay, so that's making sense now. So all the way to the right in the case of both channels, all the way to the left, right? So we don't hear anything because it's the input and we don't have an input going. This is all the way to the right, which is going to be the two decks playing simultaneously. So one of the reasons I like something like this is there's an inherent, again, to use our word of the day, simplicity behind what I'm doing here. As opposed to that, I'm just going to turn it off now, as opposed to that mess file that I really love and I used in the first demo of the Spotykach, what you heard there was a ton of interesting, almost crazy rhythmic and timbral variation, such that when I use the position knob, in the case of that file, every little minute turn of it is going to create a ton of diverse and interesting transients and sounds that come through the mix, as well as the size, because remember, with that particular file going, you know, as the file or the buffer size gets bigger and bigger and bigger, you're getting more rhythmic and timbral stuff happening. With this, there's an inherent simplicity. It's really one sound. Currently, there's no variation in that sound, and it's also rhythmically very simple, such that when I change the size, I'm going to get these little glitches, which could be cool for polyrhythms or doing something interesting with my time. But for the most part, the size is not going to do a heck of a lot, and neither is the position. Again, you're going to get some little glitch things going, particularly as I'm turning it. And by the way, that would be a nice opportunity if you wanted to take this simplicity and make it a little more complex. Just patch into the position. Again, up is position modification, down is size, middle is both. So in this case, I really would maybe only want position to get a little glitch or sound maybe going. Let's see. It's going to be very subtle. You just hear a little click, right? It's very, very subtle. So I'll take that out actually. Here's something cool I just discovered today. I wasn't even looking at this. I was kind of curious because as you see here, deck B is rotating and we get these, I love the color wheels. Reminds me of the old Brinta I had by Air Instruments, which is a granular sampler that had this cool kind of dial that had different colors. But I discovered this today. So this is orange. Now check this out. If we move it right to there, it's also orange. And there's someone in sync. Now these are not going to be perfectly in sync such that we get a chorusing or phasing type effect like double tracking a guitar. The reason for that is quite obviously I'm not going to be able to start the recording exactly on the same part of this kitchen timer as it's clicking. But what this indicates to me, I think if I'm correct me if I'm wrong here on the comments, just like with Morphogene, which I used to own and sold some time ago, maybe I have the record for most loopers ever owned. It's been a lot of them. But just like with Morphogene, you could get to a point on Morphogene, it was always harder to find that point, but it was a green. You get to that point and it tells you that is your original pitch. And I'm pretty sure this is the case because check this out. As we move it to the right, it turns. You see the pitch changes a little bit. A couple semitones, I don't know. And then I'm wondering, I don't know what this would be. If we did something that was tonal based, this is tonal, but it's more rhythmic than tonal. We could maybe see if that would be like an octave and would that be 2 octaves. I'm not sure how these are calibrated. And there's been some discussion on Discord about particularly calibration of the modulation, the LFOs, just because some people want to really go crazy with the rate. By the way, another update just for this time and place that we're in. The envelope follower is not currently working. It will be on the next firmware update. The effects, as I mentioned last time, are not. The MIDI ports are not as well. So again, some of that is coming in the future. But what's cool about this is we get back to we can pitch down and get a really low sound. But when we pitch up and we get right to that point in the orange, we know that that's the original pitch. So that's great, actually. As you're hearing this, because of the stereophonic sound of it and the slight variation, if we were mapping this out on a grid, it would be like this, where they're not exactly hitting at the same time. That's perfect for me. And whenever I've used the kitchen timer in my pieces, and you can check out my YouTube, I have a few. One of my machine songs uses the kitchen timer as a primary drum beat, really. So you could check that out and see how I've used it in the past. But one of the things I like about this, again, is the simplicity and the subtlety at which I can adapt and adjust things. So, one way of doing this is I could do something with pitch. When I do something with pitch, it's one of those things where our brain is listening to both the pitch and the speed of the repetition of the cycle of this rhythm. So it kind of has that, weird effect. So if I go back to the starting pitch that I recorded in, again, very subtle differences in the position. Not a lot of differences. So I think if I wanted to create some movement or do something different with this, at some level I could actually use this exactly as it is, as silly as it sounds. I could do something in reverse. Still quite in time, isn't it? Here's another thing I learned from Discord. I was totally screwing this up, apologies. I was doing that and then hitting play to restart it. It's so dumb, I didn't realize this, but if you have reverse going, instead of stopping reverse, just hit play and it goes back to play mode. I know, it's really stupid, but for some reason I kept doing this, right? And then I was like, well, you have to restart it every time. Well, no, you don't. You just click, not on reverse to stop reverse, just click on play. It's like so obvious, it's embarrassing. But again, one of the cool things about learning this instrument is just reading what other people are doing with it, how they're using it, etc. So I think one of the things we could do is take one of our modulation sources. And you'll notice so far I don't even have any of my Eurorack stuff hooked up. I'm starting very simple with trying to learn the Spotykach. So the volt per octave is super cool on the real mode here. And just listen immediately how cool this is going to sound in the right ear, channel B. We're getting this glitchy thing going on. Reminds me of little things I might get out of Data Bender, my qubit module. I can do the same in channel A. And let's listen to the time here. I'm very interested kind of in how things are moving. So the difference here is let's max out. Let's see. It's not going to be possible to get these totally consistent, but I'm going to max out the cycle, and I believe that's the amount. And these should be in time, correct? As far as when they kind of glitch and move in and out. So that's pretty cool and interesting. Again, I can adjust the cycle. If we make it slower. And there we're going to get some really cool time stretchy. Oh, I'll probably say this in every single video. You'll notice I'll get to a point and I'll say, that right there is brilliant. I mean, that right there could be the foundation for a track. I could modulate the heck out of it. I can't even imagine once the effects come on board. Wow, I mean, it's going to be amazing. But listen to how cool that is. And what I can do is just adjust the rate and hear further variations in my two channels. Listen to that. Listen to that right there. We're getting like a we're getting like little triplets in each channel. And then we're also getting this like glitchy, almost vocal type formant sound, right? Like a sound which I'm assuming is the LFO kind of interacting with the volt per octave. But actually that right there, I could just listen to for a few minutes. And that's the kind of thing where I would use, again, the keyword for today is simplicity. I would use the simplicity of these two channels of my kitchen timer to begin with something interesting, and I can really focus more intently on what's happening with the rhythms and the slight glitches because of the modulation. And I'm trying to do more of this and see what else I can get going on here. That almost sounds like audio rate, or it's just kind of, let's see, okay. Now it's kind of, okay. You just really have to think about how to dial this in. And again, if I adjust the amount, you're seeing a little less modulation, the effect it has. I'm going to speed it up a little bit to get something a little more rhythmic. And what I usually would do in a case like this is listen to the left and the right ear. And hear, again, the very clock-like kind of these sounds. It's a combination of like, you know, like a grandfather clock sound, and then these little formant kind of vocally glitches that just kind of jump in, almost sounding like a frog. Again, I haven't done hardly anything with position in this particular case with this patch. The size and position aren't going to necessarily do a ton just because of lack of, again, of timbral and rhythmic diversity in my sound source as compared to my mess file, which is the total opposite. And that's why I wanted to show you this example this time around. And I haven't messed with the envelopes yet. I suppose I could and see what I get here. If I want to sort of stretch things out more. Kind of interesting. And I haven't done anything with the pitch. If I wanted to, we could pitch one radically lower. And then maybe I should put my envelopes back where they were. A little easier to listen to this. And then pitch this not as low. But you know, the timbre of the sound definitely changes as we adjust pitch, of course. And I think in this case, it's easier maybe for me to really hone in on the two rhythms in the left and the right ear. Very subtle adjustments. That's pretty good right there. Yeah. And again, I'm so glad that they included the volt per octave. I was watching a thing recently on a new Error Instruments module, and someone in the comments was saying they don't like how Error Instruments doesn't include a lot of volt per octave on their Eurorack modules, and it's true. I mean, the volt per octave is very necessary, at least for me in this setup. By the way, for those of you, I'll do one more experiment here. For those of you who are maybe thinking about getting a looper or a sampler, whatever kind of device you might be thinking about, one of the things, again, I've sort of stated in this video and also in the next video, or in the last video, sorry, and in the next video, is the things that are important for me. So the first thing I said to you is I have to have stereo, 100%. I've had some loopers in the past. I'm thinking of the 2HP loop. 2HP, a lot of their modules, they're super cool in a small Eurorack case because they're obviously very nice on your HP size, and but they sacrifice a lot in terms of just the functionality. So if you get a looper like the 2HP loop, you're not going to have, the stereophonic kind of experience. Another thing you're not going to have is all the modulation. So for me, an absolute necessity and must is very, simple and important things, position and size. The different modes are going to be really cool. I'm excited to see what drift does. I'm excited to see how some of these modes are going to play out, and the effects, of course. But having the built-in modulation, having the built-in sequencers, which are triggering right now, and then, of course, having something like reverse is also very important and great features to have. So, if you're thinking about a looper, I think the thing is to sort of ask some questions. What are you trying to do? And, strangely enough, some of the full-fledged loopers I've used or owned in the past, I was thinking recently of the RC505, which has no comparison to this. I mean, they're totally different devices for different purposes. But back in the day, I was using it kind of to do live looping, not in this experimental sense, in a more traditional sense. And I very much struggled with that particular looper, and they released a Mark II version, and people were kind of unhappy with it. So even sometimes getting a full-fledged looper, you think you're going to have all this control over functionality and things, and just sometimes with this, parameters like time stretching and trying to sync together in the case of the 505, it's 4 tracks. It didn't always work, so it was kind of frustrating for me. Now, what I've done is I've moved more into the experimental realm, and I have no plans on parting with my Soma Cosmos. And by the way, the Soma Cosmos and the Spotykach have really no relationship to one another. I mean, they're very different devices for very different purposes. What I like about the Soma Cosmos is the fact that there is a rhythmic mode, but I usually use that for soundscapes and experimental patches that over time distort, just because of the algorithms that Vlad Krimer and the others who at Somo that created it have put into it. So it sounds funny saying, we sometimes own more than one looper, but there's a reason for this. It's kind of like a ladder. You have a big ladder, a step ladder, a medium-sized ladder. I think in my house I own like 4 different ladders. Well, maybe the same can be said of loopers, just because of the fact that you are using them for different purposes in your different performances. So as you're thinking about this, it's just something to reflect on, because I know people sometimes say, well, what's the best looper out there? I don't think there's a best looper. There are loopers that work better and worse for you. in your setup. And again, we are still doing great here. Let's look at the power drain. How long have we been going here? 30 minutes. So 97%. That's pretty good. 97% after 30 minutes. So it kind of gives you a sense just that this is going to be hopefully useful for me. I don't even think I'm going to need the second port. I'll get into that in subsequent videos I'll make for you this summer. But, you know, Zoom recorders and so forth typically have their own internal batteries. So let's try one more experiment here. Let's start in our A channel, left channel. I'm going to turn up our mix here, and then we'll put in our dummy cable so we get our hard left and right. So let's do our left channel here. I'm going to try to trigger this. The problem is this Leaf audio box is so sensitive. I'm using it for my contact mic pickup right now because I don't have the other setup going yet as far as cables and phantom power. But I just wanted to trigger these, I guess. I don't want it to sound too harsh. I wanted it to sound more timbral and tonal than rhythmic. But this is so darn sensitive that it's quite hard. You know, actually, one thing, I just figured out one thing I need to figure out is I don't know how to clear the buffer in here. Because if I play this, it's still going to play the same buffer sound. So I think I'm going to figure that out. How the heck do you clear the buffer on this? Well, I only know one way to do it. It's to unplug it. So let's do that. Hate doing it that way, but it also allows me to test the stability of my battery. And so far, we're doing all right with this. So I am happy that I am fully battery powered with the Spotykach. I'm a happy person for that. So let's just start from the beginning because, again, I don't know how to clear the buffer. We'll figure that out. We're learning this together. And I love this process, by the way. I feel like when you're part of a process like this where things are being worked out and firmware is going to be adjusted, not everything's functioning yet, you really feel like you're starting from the ground up, and I absolutely love it. I think it's super cool. So let's see, we're going to do this, and maybe I'm just going to do something like that. Let's give that a shot. And you're going to see the trigger mode here on Real is going to start when I first pluck the string. Oh, you hear that? It got my voice. That's pretty cool. Pluck the string, pluck the string, pluck the string. I'm loving that. We're going to keep that for now. Pluck the string. Oh man, that's cool. Unintended mistake. Oh, sorry about that. That was loud. Let's do this. Okay. Right channel, B. Maybe I'll try to do something in time with my voice. That's what we're going to do. Okay, let's just take the cable out. What's in our B channel? Well, listen to that. It sounds like a little bass drum. There's a pluck, and then you're hearing my voice, or my breath, kind of like that. That's really cool. So anyway, let's go back to both 50%. So what's cool about this is as opposed to our last patch, which was the simplicity of our kitchen timer. It's a little less simple. So again, I'm getting my voice in here saying pluck the string. If I change the size, we're going to hear more than that, right? And there I'm going past the point of me talking about plucking the string. Wow, okay, this is gonna be some good stuff, folks. Listen to this. Oh, $1 guitar store guitar. $1, folks, $1. You don't have to spend a lot of money to do good stuff. Okay, let's adjust the size of this loop. Oh man, I'm loving this. I'll turn off save my juice on that. So let's try some stuff here. What should we adjust, size or position? We could do either. Let's try each. We're just starting with the right ear, B, position only. We can go crazy on polyrhythms right here. Listen to that. Oh, there you go. Love that. Let's do size on channel A, left here. I'm going to adjust the rate here so we get a little more drama going on. Oh, man. Oh man, there we go. This is getting good. Oh, listen to that, listen to that. That sustain note in the right ear. Listen to that, okay. Let's adjust a little more here. Okay, let's flip it. Size, position. Oh, you hear my voice again in the left ear. That was super cool. Pluck the string. By the way, I didn't mention it last time, or I mentioned it but didn't try it out. The built-in metronome you could consider using as a quasi-drum beat. I don't know if it's going to be in time with this, but let's just give it a shot and see what happens. You're adjusting the volume of it. I'm holding tap and adjusting the in and out levels. So that's not going to necessarily be in time, so I can take that out like that. Yeah, and it's completely gone from the mix. Let's switch our modulation, both channels, to position and size. And we can adjust our modulation a little bit. These pads could be really cool. I'm thinking after my last experience with Demo 1, you could use this as almost like a choke sound if you're using like a physical instrument like this. You know, again, you wouldn't know it's a $1 guitar. Let's try that. Let's trigger by engaging Alt and the sequence pad. And then we're going to put our sequence in, so maybe I'll do something somewhat in time. And then it should be in there now. So I think because it's starting and stopping this deck, it has a potential you could use it to choke the sound a little bit, which could be cool. We could try channel B as well. And the sequence, what should we do on this? Okay, yeah, it's definitely kind of affecting the sample a little differently, isn't it? It's almost like it reminds me too, if you had a sequencer going on a drum machine, if you had an accent on one of the 16 steps, let's say a 16-step sequencer, or a flam or some effect like that, it's gonna, again, give you subtle variation in your sound or rhythm. Again, I can continue to adjust my modulation, and it's going to have an effect on both size and position. And we could do reverse. And go back to play. I did it right. And then now we can mess with pitch as well. Let's do the same for deck A. Oh man. As it's getting lower, again, $1. It reminds me of the timbre of a African kora. Do you hear that a little bit? I'm just hearing like that kind of timbre to it for some reason. That's what's like coming to my mind in terms of a timbre meme or something like that. Let's try some more here. Oh man, the plucks are gonna get lower and lower, aren't they? Yes, here we go. When you hear this, getting lower and lower, just my brain is almost thinking of a string breaking. You know, there's like tension on the string, it's gonna break. Let's keep going here, folks. Oh wow, okay. Oh man, no effects. This is no effects. It's just the Spotykach and this. That's all we got going, folks, and our modulation source. Let's go for some records here. Lowest possible loop ever. Oh man. Do you feel like it's gonna break? The string's gonna snap. I hear it. It's gonna snap. Okay. Oh man. Okay. Oh, listen to that. One of the very first things that going back to my high school years in the 80s, when I first got some of my very first samplers, first one was probably officially the Casio SK1, and the next one was the S10, the Roland S10, which was one of these sample-based keyboards. I think it was 12-bit, maybe 24 kilohertz. It was not amazing, but it used these quick discs and very short samples. But one of the coolest things I think that we probably enjoy about sampling is all the aliasing and the stuff you can do when you take a sample and kind of blast it into oblivion. And now we're just at a moment of silence, which is a great place to stop here. One more thing before I go, and I'll be back with a third installment, who knows how many, is I am searching for a travel case for the Spotykach. And so far I'm 0 for 2, so I'm going to be sending these back to Amazon. But what I did was I bought these cases, and the dimensions actually, it should have worked with the Spotykach, but if you see it, there's just a little bit of overhang. This one's really small, and then this one, yeah, it doesn't quite, there's overhang. So I ordered another one, and I think it should work. These are like GoPro camera cases. So once I get that worked out, hopefully third time is the charm on this, because what I really want to do is be able to safely transport the Spotykach as I'm using it in field settings. So we're under an hour, and we're at 94% on the battery. Again, battery life's going to differ and everything from the pack that you're using, but I'm really happy that this is powering this with no notable effects on the sound or the performance or whatever, because what I really wanted was for this to be portable, and it's definitely portable. I mean, in the field, it's going to be a little larger than some of the other handheld devices that I have, but I definitely want to get a case going to protect it during travel. So I want to protect it is what I'm trying to say. So if you have any information, go ahead and leave it in the comments about a case size that might work, but I'll let you know if the third round of buying a case for this will work. And you don't. So that is going to be it for demo 2 here. We tried a couple of experiments. Again, keeping with our theme today was simplicity. I used 2 very simple instruments. You wouldn't think of necessarily a kitchen timer and a dollar guitar as something that is good sonic material for something like the Spotykach, but it's perfect sonic material. And indeed, in some of these cases, I think when I'm working with sampling, I start from a place of simplicity and then get more complicated, not through the sound itself, but through modification of the sound, in this case, through pitch. We have our sound coming back there, through pitch, and of course, all the modulation of position, size, and so forth. So a lot more to discover with the Synthux Academy Spotykach. Thanks for listening here to my videos, and come back for additional videos, and good luck with all your sonic experiments with the Spotykach and other sonic devices out there. Thanks for listening.